So I have long been fascinated by, obviously we want to protect rights holders and we have this apparatus and the law is fairly clear, except you cannot stop people from uploading anything and everything to the internet. And when I started working online and on YouTube and things like that, when rights holders would identify copyrighted material, they'd be like, shut it off, you can't do that video, your account's blocked, this video's banned, blah blah blah. And that, I presume, I never worked at YouTube, but I presume that became like this massive time suck and money suck. Massive teams had to like deal with Universal Music and Warner and movie studios and whatever, managing all this stuff. And so at some point, I remember this vividly of like uploading stuff to YouTube and they were like, hey, that's from this movie and it's owned by Universal, but we've identified it. They're letting you keep it up. The video's cool. And if we run ads on this video, it goes to Universal. It doesn't go to you. And I was like, what? We can keep this online? What is this sorcery? I'm 100% infringing. And the studio's like, no, it's cool. And they struck these deals with platforms, and now it extends to TikTok, Instagram, etc., where like music and clips are all baked into the platforms, and you can use whatever you want. It's just that the content ID systems, robots, algorithms, identify it instantly, say, you own this, money goes here, we're all good. Mm-hmm. And then you fire all the people who used to work on those teams because you don't need them because robots are doing it. And it's great for creators, but it was another watershed moment for the internet, I think. And it's the internet we know today. It's the social internet that we know today. So like, do you have any insight of like how that came about, and also like upsides and downsides of content ID rights attribution on the 50,000 hours of video that were just uploaded to YouTube in the last second? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It is crazy. I think the numbers, I can't keep track of the numbers, so it's mind-boggling. I do have some insights in that.
Please
as a matter of fact.
I'm excited.
So it's two big old things happen. Two things happened. One is a legal legislative change from Congress, and then one is the Content ID system, which is a private system using technology and contracts, the deals between YouTube, just to take the YouTube example, and all of the content owners, that was built on top of that. So the first key thing that happened was the DMCA. I'm not going to sing YMCA, but you can.
Wait, hang on. Can you reveal that name of that law again?
Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Stole that sound effect. Don't come after me.
I like that. That's a good one. So the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is near and dear to my heart because that's what we were arguing about when I was in law school. I graduated in 97, and the mid 90s was the sort of lead up with the green paper and the white paper and all this in Congress that gave us the 1998 law, the DMCA, which is an acronym for the Digital Millennium. Sounds very grandiose. Copyright Act.
98 though. I'm glad you put it in time because I couldn't quite remember.
That's when we passed it. Was in 98. And one of the things in that law was this thing called a notice and takedown system. Mm-hmm. So the Digital Millennium Copyright Act has a safe harbor for qualifying service providers. And by service providers, I don't mean just ISPs. Yeah. I mean service providers such as YouTube, such as Instagram, such as Twitter, someone who's providing a service online. Yeah. And one of the safe harbors says to them, hey, we know, like you said, you can't stop it, right? You know where you can stop it. We know people are going to be posting copyrighted stuff on your platform without permission. So we're going to give you a safe harbor, but only if you play ball. Okay. Right? Only if you do what you're supposed to do. Okay. So if you are storing infringing material at the direction of a user, such as YouTube, if I post, a soundtrack of somebody else's music to my video, YouTube gets the safe harbor so long as the minute they know about the infringing material, they act expeditiously to remove it. and some other stuff. But basically, the key thing there, which is the precursor to Content ID, is the notice and takedown process. So the old laborious way that things would be taken off of a site like YouTube is the copyright owner would file a compliant notice and say,
Right.
hey, listen, someone just posted my thing on your site.
The
and
onus
then
was
YouTube,
on the holder, the copyright
right,
holder.
Exactly. Then YouTube's supposed to take it down.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, that's just not, there's just, that's not feasible at scale. Right. So what YouTube built on top of that is what you just mentioned, the Content ID system, which is an automatic filtering system. So the content holders, they give, you know, data dumps of records of all of their material that people might post on YouTube. So YouTube has all of that in its database. Digital fingerprints.
Yeah.
And then they have a matching algorithm that if someone posts something and it matches that material, you know, hey, it's matched a copyrighted thing. And then the copyright owner has the option to choose beforehand between blocking it. So, you know, you get the frowny face, right, your video is not up there anymore.
Yeah.
Monetizing, which is increasingly popular. That's where you talked about ad revenue and Universal getting your money, right? They can get 55% of the ad revenue.
And it's so smart because it's like, hey, we could pay a team of 1,000 people to constantly file copyright complaints with YouTube.
Right.
Or we could just make money on all the infringers.
Right. So if you're thinking about
it's amazing.
And I mean, there have been some interesting academic studies about, you know, works that were in relative obscurity that someone posted on YouTube and suddenly there's an income stream.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Wouldn't have existed before.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right. And then they have the option of tracking various data. So that's I think you mentioned upsides and downsides. So I feel like I need to go there.
Yes, please. I know the weaponization of DMCA and Content ID.
Right. So that's the world that we live in with all of these platforms, is automatic filtering system that have effectively replaced legal code, what I told you was on the books, with a parallel system of computer code, or to use another professor named Larry Lex's terminology, he says East Coast code has been replaced with West Coast code. So the happy story is kind of the one that you just sketched out, which is it's an efficient, practical, manageable way of dealing with these enormous volumes of content. And a lot of content actually stays up. So good for you, the poster, and generates income for the copyright holders, good for the Universal and for YouTube. So good for platform and content. Happy story, right?
Yep.
These things don't always work as planned. But on the other side, as a practical matter, it means that these filtering systems can end up dictating what stays online and what goes down. And the matching system is both imperfect and opaque. So sometimes it's under-inclusive and misses infringing material, but often it's over-inclusive and will tag fair uses, things that are perfectly legal. I mean, like birdsong was tagged as something copyright. Stuff from NASA, everything from the governments and the public domains not copyrighted, was tagged as something that's copyrighted. I, as a professor, have made what I know, 5 out of 5 dentists agree, to be fair use, such as I'm talking about a music copyright case, and I play like tiny little clip so you can hear it what the music sounds like. That's fair use, people.
Yes.
You know, I've had a Content ID claim. So there's the problem with these systems, there's no judge on a chip to distinguish between infringing and non-infringing uses. And sometimes things that are perfectly legal get taken down. And
because AI, like algorithms and AI, are scary.
Yeah.
But they don't fully understand the context. They are listening for the match. They are not listening for, oh, Jennifer played a clip and then she talked about it in a legal context. That is different from infringement.
Yeah,
Bots
exactly.
don't know that.
And in fact, I write this article every year called Public Domain Day. And so I posted something that had copyrights expired. It was from 1923. Okay.
This is how I discovered your work, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
This, I mean, you shared about Steamboat Willie, which we may or may not get to today, but go ahead.
I posted something that had no copyright. It was public domain.
Yeah.
And it still got Content ID tagged. And, I filed a dispute and I got the Content ID claim removed. But a lot of creators don't actually contest content ID claims
That's
because
interesting.
they're worried they're going to get 3 strikes and their whole channel is going to get taken down.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they're basically, not availing themselves. Like, just for you as an example, you said it's actually been great. Have you ever posted something that you thought was legit and gotten either the video blocked or a content ID claim?
Not blocked because I understand the rules and I don't intend to maliciously infringe. But what I will add here, if it's useful to anyone listening, is like, you may think YouTube is there's no humans there, but when I appeal a strike, or not a strike, but like a content ID or whatever, like as you're saying, within an hour, a human being is like, yeah, okay, I took a look, and like, it's not a personal message, but it's like, yep, we checked it, you're good, it is fair use, carry on. So
I love that story. That's
to Jennifer's point, I don't know if that's normal, but to Jennifer's point, like, please appeal if you know you're correct, just appeal. YouTube will fix it. And sometimes they won't, and then you got to write. But you have to write like a smart, intelligent, like, hey, you may not watch this 1 hour video, but here's where I say this, and this is clearly fair use, and please approve this. Thank you so much. Be polite, I guess. I don't know. That's what I do.
I'm so glad. That's such a happy story. I'm delighted to hear that.
You must have other horror stories then.
Well, I mean, I'm a copyright lawyer. I appealed the public domain thing, but I appealed something else that was a fair use, and I actually had to go like several rounds before the. That's back when they would mute the audio, so it was just like a professor talking head, not saying anything.
And it's like useless.
And I actually had to fight a few rounds before I prevailed in that one. But anyway, when it works as intended. Because I mean, you understand if you're a copyright holder and you're looking at the internet and you're just like, oh my god, like how do I even have rights in this world, right? Totally. There's nothing I could do. So you can understand how they want some mechanism to restrain these swarms of anonymous infringers, right? But you also understand YouTube's point of view, which is they don't want. They want their technology to be able to function, and if they were, in the crosshairs of a lawsuit for everything users did, they couldn't function. So you understand where these agreements come from.
Yep.
But if the process behind these automated filtering systems, Content ID included, were more transparent, and there was an effective and efficient dispute mechanism, then some of the concerns would be taken away. Then you mentioned weaponizing. That's a third thing, right? You probably, your listeners have probably seen the stories about cops that, during an encounter, like, they would just play, like in one case, Taylor Swift's Blank Space. They would just play a song. And they would say, well, I'm playing this song so that the copyright filters will actually block this when you post it to social media.
Meaning if you're recording a cop pulling you over, which is your right to do, they're playing a song so that you can't post it on the internet.
Yeah, so it gets blocked when it gets posted to
I've never
media.
Even heard of that.
Had you not heard that story?
No.
There was a cop who did this, I mean, irony much with the title. He played Blank Space from Taylor Swift in that way. And then he says, I think it was real, he says, I'm playing my music so that you can't post on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. But I was thinking more about these cases where it's like rival YouTubers or trollers or bad actors would register. They would see a YouTube video that they didn't like. They would download it, and then they would say, I'm from the John Jones Corporation, and this is my work. And they would upload it to Content ID, which would then flag the other YouTuber as an infringer and get their video taken down.
Yeah, so that's an entire misuse of the system, too.
Sure, of course.
So, it has upsides and downsides.
Yeah.